Hi guys, it's Lanikia. I'm coming to you with The Handmaid's Tale season 3, episode 10 called Witness. Listen, I know the other two episodes did not work. I'm actually using a completely different computer because I know the sound didn't work with my other computer. I'm probably going to re-record those videos, but it won't be until the weekend. So if you want to go back and watch those and just my thoughts and the recaps on them, have at it. I'm sorry. Okay, so season 3, episode 10, Witness. This has to be one of the better episodes of The Handmaid's Tale this season so far to me, and I don't know why. Maybe because it feels like The Handmaid's Tale of old. But okay, so June is walking and she's going back to the Lawrence's house, and as the closer she gets to it, the quicker she becomes, because in the Lawrence's house she has a bit more freedom, and June gets to run around a little bit more, even though she's been doing a lot anyways. So Mr. Waterford. So then we see that Mr. Waterford, the Lawrences have redecorated because Commander Waterford wants them to look like the houses in Washington. So they have redecorated to go to meet um, the requirements that they have for the houses now. So June says her time so Aunt Lydia says that she missed the ceremony last month, but hopefully this month it'll be fruitful. And June says her time in prayer has gave her her purpose, which June feels like her purpose now is to get the children out. So then we see Aunt Lydia calls her a good girl, and then they go about their way. So then we see Beth has scones in that room, and she says the scones mean the Marthas can't help, and she's been asking for medicine for Mrs. Lawrence because she needs meds because she's acting out and she's becoming violent now. She threw something at Beth and she hurt her ear and everything. So she's trying to get her some meds, but the Marthas are like, no, we can't get you anymore, or and everything. So then we see June tell Beth, well, she's on another mission and she needs her help, and Beth is like, of course you do. And she tells her, I want to get the children out. Like that's her goal now. And Beth says it's dangerous, but she'll ask the Marthas, but she doesn't think that they'll help. So then we hear Eleanor fussing at Lawrence, and she tells Lawrence, and Lawrence comes downstairs because she's fussing at him, and she tells him to get out. We don't see it, we just hear it. So then Lawrence goes downstairs and June is there. He tells June, welcome back, and she tells him, how's Eleanor? And she just pretty much tells him, she needs help, and the only way she can get help is to get her out, and he does not want to do it. He does not want to be without her. But June just pretty much tells Joseph that the only way she'll be able to get the help that she needs with her meds and everything is to get her out of here. But he doesn't want to do it. So then we see the handmaids. The handmaids don't want to walk with June. They're like, sis, you're a target. Like every handmaid that walks with you ends up dead, or or something ends up happening to them. So they're not trying to really mess with June. They don't want to go anywhere near her because she has a big target on her back. So then June goes to the fridge casing that they always go to this season now, and Alma tells June she can't help her, and then June tells her, I want to get the children out, and she's like, that's crazy, like that's suicide. And Alma asks, is June okay and everything, and June says, no, I'm not. Like June, I don't know. I think June has decided that she would rather die getting the children out, or fighting, than to just lay down and not help at all. So she's made up in her mind that she's willing to die for this. So then we see that they have inspection. So then the alarm starts going and they have inspection, and Alma says this is the 4th one this week. So they go out for inspection, and they all have to have their heads down, arms folded. Did y'all notice when they were doing that? June was the only one that didn't have her head down or her arms folded. I'm like, June gets away with so much. I said that in the last 2 videos, but y'all didn't hear them because there was no sound. But June gets away with so much this season that it is ridiculous how much she gets to get away with. So anyways, they we find out that Inspector Winslow is there. So, but before he gets there, Commander Waterford comes and everything, and he just walks right up to June, and he's just talking to her like the other handmaids cannot hear. And I'm like, what is going on? And he tells her about how is she doing. She says, I'm well. And then he's asking her, he tells her he could send her to Washington to be a handmaid there. That's the last place you want to be a handmaid. But anyways, she tells him your wife is just appeared because Serena Joy comes through. And it's like, I don't know what this obsession Commander Waterford has with June. I don't understand it, but he has this obsession with her. So anyways, so then Serena Joy comes up to June and she asks June if she's okay, and June is like she's well, and she asks Serena about her arm and everything. And they kind of smirk at each other. And I don't know. Sometimes I can't read too deep up into it. Sometimes it's just I'm just watching the episode like y'all. But they kind of smirk and everything, and I guess it's just like it is what it is. Um so Commander Winslow is arrived. That's the special guest. I'm like, it's not that special. I mean, we've been seeing him the last few episodes. But he arrives and he says, I heard your handmaids have a reputation. And Serena and Aunt Lydia look at him like, what? And I mean, everything he says is like weird and in a weird, I don't know. But anyway, Serena knows Fred still wants June. Like, she knows this because she can see the interaction. He's always watching her. He's always like looking at her. He always has something to say to her. Like, he will kick out all the handmaids in the room just so he can get at June. So anyway, so June goes back home and she says, where is he? And they tell her Lawrence is in a meeting. So he goes to meetings now. And no one explain, like they didn't explain like why is he going to meetings now or none of that. But like that's the only thing about the writing this season. Like they do things whereas in season 1 and even season 2, you understood what was going on. Like they would have told you why he goes to meetings now, but now they just he goes to meetings now and just breeze right on over that and everything. So June goes to his office and she's looking for files for the children. I think they call it, I can't remember. But she's looking for files for the children. And Eleanor busts in while June is looking through his office and she's like, what are you doing in here? And June says, she doesn't want to tell, but Eleanor gets her to tell, and she tells her that I'm looking for the files for the children. I want to, she's trying to find them. And Eleanor lets her know, well, he keeps them in the basement. Come along. And so now Eleanor is going to help her. And so Eleanor she gives June the files for, so that she can see where all of the children. Now, these are the children, not the children that have been had in Gilead, although they are in the files. These are the children that the handmaids had before as well. And that's who June is looking for. I think she wants them all, but right now, I mean, eventually, but right now her focus is on the children before that they had as a like the handmaids had that were not the commander's children, the stolen children of Gilead is what they call them. Oh, she's calling them. So okay, so then we see that June asks Eleanor if she thinks about leaving. Because June has found the files and Eleanor is just buzzing around and everything. And she asks Eleanor, have you ever thought about leaving? And she says, no, because if we left, Joseph would hang. He would be killed or he would spend the rest of his life in prison. So she doesn't think about leaving because she doesn't want that fate for him. So the Winslows are staying with Fred. And Fred, okay, so Winslows are with Fred, right? And so Fred, being the manipulator, sociopath that he is, they're talking and everything and talking about, if the people who don't want to get along with this new regime of Gilead and being more strict and really going at it and going hard and everything, they're gonna pretty much push them out. Kind of like what in our own politics today, where we see the new rise of the Democrat, different like the more modern Democrats versus the old, and the more modern conservatives versus the old. It's kind of like that. So he's just doing all this talking, and Serena was like, "You have somebody in mind," or it might have been Commander Winslow. But anyways, he says Lawrence. Now, Serena Joy knows Fred is just really doing this to get back at June. So we really haven't seen much of Rita this episode, but she was there in the background, and she like looks up because she knows he's doing this with her. Like, I don't know what his obsession is with June. I don't know if it's because like she really does not want him, and he just feels like I have to have her, butterscotch. And he just feels like I have to have her, even though she doesn't really like want him, but he's just obsessed with her. And if he has to take down Commander Lawrence to get to June, he will do that. And I'm confused, y'all. Is Commander Lawrence like the top or not? Because Commander Winslow says if you want to challenge a man like that, you have to be very careful when you challenge someone like that. Because Commander Winslow and Commander Lawrence they used to play golf every Sunday. We find that out. That they used to play golf every Sunday and everything. And oh, we find that out earlier because when all the handmaids were gathered around, Commander Winslow spoke to June, and she says he asked her how does she like being in Commander Lawrence's home, and she said he treats her with respect. And Fred looked at June, and Serena Joy could see them look like she could see him looking at June because she said she likes being in his home or whatever. And I think Fred got jealous about that, and Serena Joy could see it as well, that he has this obsession. I know I've said that like several times, but y'all been watching it, y'all see he's obsessed with June. So anyways, so they're telling Commander Lawrence. So going back to where we are now. So Fred, Serena, and Commander Winslow are all talking, and he starts saying like, he doesn't know if Commander Lawrence is practicing all of the rituals for that Gilead has, as far as he's had 4 handmaids. Why have none of them been impregnated? Which, not for nothing, you wouldn't have had any handmaids impregnated either had it not been for Nick. But we digress on that whole thing. So Serena goes to the background because she knows exactly what he's trying to do. So she just leaves. Serena Joy is looking like, what are you doing? And Commander Winslow is like, okay, we can make sure that he's doing what he's supposed to do, but it's very tricky. Because Commander Lawrence has a lot of power because he did set this whole thing up. So, anyways, but Serena asks Fred, "Do you think it's necessary?" And every time Serena speaks, sometimes I think she's speaking out of turn, and so Commander Winslow will look at her or whatever. Like, y'all have to watch the episode to see that little power play. Like, the Fred and Winslow will be speaking, and Serena Joy will say something, and I don't know, like, if he feels like she's overstepping, but he doesn't say anything. He doesn't address it, but he just looks at her or whatever. So, anyways, they're going to Commander Lawrence's home because Fred has put it in Winslow's mind that maybe he's not doing the ritual, which y'all know he ain't, but still, or whatever. And he was like, well, he can't lead. Well, he was like, well, he can't be a leader of Gilead if he's not doing all the rituals of Gilead. So then we see that Serena. Oh, okay, it's been 5 years. So we hear June say that it's been 5 years because she's looking at all the children's files on the floor. That's the next scene. So I was like, damn, it's been 5 years since this all happened. So all the children, she was like, if they were 4, they're 9 now. If they were 7, they're 12 now. And I was like, the girls who were maybe like 9 and everything are like 14 now. So that's why we see the girls are going to get tested and everything because they've come of age because it's been 5 years. And so the handmaid Serena comes down and tells June that they're waiting for you in the study and everything. So oh no, it was of Joseph that tells June that they're waiting for her in the sitting room. So June goes into the sitting room and she realizes that they're doing the ritual for the birth, and everything. So June goes in there and she kneels down on her pillow. because Beth had the pillow earlier when she told June to come down, and she puts it on the floor, and June kneels down. Now the other handmaid, I think her name is Serena, um, something like that. Beth June has to tell her, you need to go stand over there. They've never performed this ritual, so they really don't know how it goes because he's never had them do it. So she tells her, you have to be over here. So they get over there and everything. And then Beth is kneeling down, and Eleanor and Serena Joy come in, and Serena Joy says, "I hope nothing impedes this or whatever," because she's telling June, "Don't go try to fight in this or whatever." And you can tell that Serena Joy knows that something's wrong with Eleanor, and everything, but it is what it is at this point because there's nothing even though I don't think Serena Joy, even though she doesn't really like June at this point. I mean, she ain't never really liked June, but she's just like, this has to happen. Don't make this more difficult than it already has to be. So the men come in, and Lawrence goes up, and okay, so then June tells us that they used to not do this. So we find out a bit more about Gilead at this point. We find while we're waiting on the men to come into the room, June is talking. You know how she talks in her head. So June lets us know that they used to do this, like go make house checks on the commanders that they thought were not performing the ritual. They used to go and make sure that they were performing the ritual. So that lets us know that all of the commanders were not on board with this. They all were not wanting to have a handmaid and rape a handmaid and go in with this whole ritual and everything that they have going on. Um, and and so what they would do is they would send other commanders and Aunt Lydia, I guess, to go to their homes and check to make sure that they were doing this. So I think because what I was thinking is that all the commanders were okay, and that Lawrence was just different, and he didn't want to do it. But that little insight let us know that no, there was some resistance to this part of it in the beginning, but they had to do it, because you can only go so long, I guess, without getting a handmaid pregnant and everything. Because if you remember in, I believe, season 1, when the doctor told June he believed Commander Waterford could not have children, and if she wanted to, he would sleep with her because I guess he could have children just so she could she could get pregnant. Because he said they don't blame it on the commanders; they blame it on the handmaids, even though it's the man. Most of the time, it's the man's fault. Okay, so then the commanders come into the room, and they are sitting there, and Fred just makes me sick. So Commander Lawrence goes, and you know how he has to go to the front and read the Bible scripture, but he doesn't have the Bible because he ain't performed the ritual. So Beth goes and gives it to him, and he tells her, "Don't move my stuff." And Winslow's like, "Oh, you're forgetful in your old age or whatever." He wasn't forgetful. They just hadn't used that little Bible to read that because they haven't performed the ritual. So then they take June, and they're going upstairs. And so as they're going, June sees a man there, the doctor, and she's like, Aunt Lydia, and Aunt Lydia was like, "Oh, no, he's just gonna check to make sure everything is performed. Don't be afraid or whatever." So they go ahead and go upstairs. And his name is Dr. Michaels. So Lawrence wanted to, okay, so they go into the room. Okay, now it's just Lawrence, Eleanor, and June in the room. So Lawrence is like, "All right, we gonna be in here for 20 minutes, then we're gonna go downstairs." And just like nothing happens, we're just gonna be quiet for 20 minutes, then go downstairs. And June was like, "We can't do that." And so then he's like, "Okay, we can play a card game. I brought some cards or whatever." Because he doesn't want to do it. And then June says, "There's a doctor downstairs, and he's going to check me to make sure that we perform this ritual. So we're gonna have to do this." And so Eleanor starts breaking down because she's a 1,000% against this. And then Lawrence is like, she says, me and Lawrence, Eleanor and Lawrence were okay with like hanging in this moment, then doing this ritual because he knows it's gonna kill her anyways. And they are okay with, like, they told June, "You need to turn us in. Tell them that we've been deception. It's been deception. that we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And she says, I can't do that, because she was like, not only will they punish you, they're going to punish the handmaids and the Marthas as well, because this has been going on and we haven't told. So then Eleanor really breaks down and she starts wailing, and Joseph was like, baby, you gotta be quiet. Like, I know you're upset about this, but you got to be quiet at this moment and everything. So June goes to her and June tells her, you're going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. You're strong. She's just telling her, trying to get her calm down. We have to do this. Like, you have to be strong so we can get this done. So he takes he gets her up off the floor, because Eleanor has broke down and went to the floor. He gets her up off the floor and he puts her in a chair. And June is getting her mind right to go through this ceremony. So while he's talking to Eleanor and he's telling her, like, I love you. This means absolutely nothing. I care about you. You're the love of my life. Like, he is in love with Eleanor. And it's kind of sad. Like, they could have probably been happy had they had their own children. Like, if she had been well and he hadn't been afraid that maybe, I guess, that she wasn't going to be well, they could have had their own children and lived a happy life, and maybe none of this would have happened. But anyways, so he gets her to calm down, and then he goes to June, and he's upset, and she's like, listen, this is a transaction. You, like, go outside of your mind, I'll go outside of my mind. We're not Lawrence and June. We're just doing a transaction, getting this done so we can survive, and then it's over with. And he's like, there's exceptions to the rule. Before all this, he was like, there's exceptions to the rules. And she was like, you created this. You could not have thought that you were not going to be able to keep going without having to do this. He did. And I'm so confused by them. Because remember, in season 1 and season 2, Serena Joy was thinking that the rules wouldn't apply to her either. And I'm like, why would y'all create something and then think that, well, I don't want to participate in that, but you created it. But anyways, so June tells him it's better if you just close your eyes. So he turns off the light and they perform the ceremony, or whatever. And then he goes downstairs and he doesn't talk to nobody. He goes straight to the kitchen to the scotch. And Lawrence and no, so it's Serena, Fred, and Commander Winslow sitting downstairs, and they see him go by. And Fred looks forward, and I'm like, what do you think? What did you think was going to happen? You knew they had to perform the ceremony. And so Serena Joy goes up with Aunt Lydia, and she asks June, where is Eleanor? And June points her head. So she goes over to Eleanor, and she can see that this is too much for Eleanor. So she goes and she sits beside her, and she holds her hand and everything. And then Aunt Lydia is there, and Dr. Michaels comes in, and he verified. And he was did y'all see how he threw her skirt up, like her dress up and everything? But anyways, I digress. But so anyways, they confirmed that the ceremony did happen and everything. And they're like, I hope you would, I hope this is fruitful and it go, you end up having the baby and everything like that. So then we see that, so then June goes downstairs, right? So June goes downstairs. First, Serena goes down. Oh, well, it's Serena, Aunt Lydia, and June all go downstairs. June says, let's give the Lawrences their privacy. Serena says that, let's give the Lawrences their privacy. She's ready to go. And so Commander Winslow is like, oh, he does have good scotch and all that kind of stuff, but he leaves out. Then Aunt Lydia leaves out, and Serena leaves out. But Fred, he's leaving out, but he stops and gets in front of June, and he's like, are you all right? And she just tells him, at least it wasn't you. And the look on his face is like, it goes from like shock to like he gets like a twitch in his face, like he's angry. I'm like, what did you think? This girl never wanted you. Like, you raped her. And I don't know what he's thinking. Like, he's so caught up in being Fred and getting what he wants that I don't know what he thinks. Like, I don't know if he thinks June wanted him, but June was pretending at one point she wanted him. But come on, Fred. Like, at this point, you should know that she was doing that only because she was trying to survive. But anyways, and then June walks away after she tells him that, and he looks up, and Serena had came back, and she saw the interaction between them, and she walks away from him too. Um, so then we see that, okay, where am I in? Okay, so then we see that Serena goes into, excuse me, June goes into the kitchen with Commander Lawrence, who is knocking back his scotch, like because he didn't want to do it. And so she tells him, she's like, you realize that this isn't the only time we're gonna have to do this, and they'll be back. And he was like, I know. And he gives her birth control, and she says the penalty for having contraception is to be torn apart by dogs, or and everything. And he was like, yep, I know. And so she tells him, he tells her, I'm gonna get you a truck, and I want you to get Eleanor out of here, because he realized, because they realize if they keep doing this, because she asks him how is Eleanor, and he says she's very quiet. They realize if they have to keep doing this, Eleanor will not make it, like mentally she just will not be able to make it through to keep performing these ceremonies. So he's like, I'm gonna get you a truck, and I want you to get my wife to safety. And he's like, he's just gonna deal with the consequences there. I guess he's okay with dying as long as he knows she's going to be okay. And so June tells him, if you could go with her, and what you can do is give them what they want, and they want the stolen children of Gilead. And he said, I'd be a hero. And he scoffs. He's like, I'd be a hero. He created all this, but if he gave them those children, he'd be a hero. And he's like, and he walks out and everything. So then we see June meets with Alma, and Alma's like, you're a nightmare. What do you want now? And she tells her, I'm going to get the children out. Like, I have a way to get the children out. Now it's June, Alma, and Janine. So June tells Alma this, and Janine is listening too, and Alma is like, I don't know, I can't help you. And then she tells her, your son Dylan, he has a new name. I didn't get the new name, but he has a new name. This is he's with this commander and everything. He's 5. He's blonde. And Alma was like, oh my gosh, his dad was blonde. And she starts crying, and she's like, that makes she was like, how long? And June tells Alma, how long are we gonna let Gilead keep him? We got to get these children out. And so Alma is like, okay, I'll help. And they're like, okay, how are we gonna do it? And Janine is like, I'll help. Now you remember, Janine is she's very, I don't want to say she's with everything with Gilead, but she's like, she's very like, well, we just got to do what we got to do to survive. And she's grateful that she's alive throughout all of this. But the thought of being able to get the children out, I guess, is like a purpose for Janine. And it's a purpose for all the, like Almond, like when they thought about, like, they didn't want to help June, but when they thought about, my child could get out. And then almost spoke about another woman's who, I think she said Tootsie's child is also, or Suki. Anyways, their child is also there, like they had before Gilead. So that's the children that they're going to try to get out. The children, not the children maybe born to the handmaids as they're in Gilead, but the ones that were stolen from them before Gilead. And she feels like if we could get those children out, because they have no ties to Gilead as far as that being their children, because they weren't supposedly born by the commanders as fathers. So Janine is like, oh, I'll help. So they're gonna work out a plan to help. And so, okay, Alma goes away, and then Janine goes over to like a fish tank, and so June follows her. And so earlier we saw that Janine, when June was looking at all the files, we saw that Janine had a son named Caleb, and we saw that Caleb had died in a car wreck. Well, now Janine is asking June, do you know about Caleb? And Janine is fragile, so June tells her, instead of letting her know that he died, I believe 4 years ago in a car wreck, she tells her that his family got to go to California, and that his mother looks really nice and everything. And so that makes Janine happy. And she's like, he's on the beach. He lives on the beach. And June was like, yeah, he's on the beach and everything. And because, like, I don't think Janine would be able to survive knowing he had died. She's not that strong. So then we see that Fred. So then we see that Fred. Okay, so Fred is doing his work, and Serena comes in, and she puts his paperwork down, and she says, "Listen, Fred, you're distracted. You have prioritor, prioritize yourself. Sorry about that. As the main focus of this, instead of um the like getting Nicole back, because he's all about Nicole right now." And she's like, "You made yourself number one instead of getting like being with, trying to get Nicole back." Like, Fred is not trying to get Nicole back anymore. He loves the power that he has. He likes being able to go up to say, "Oh, this commander is doing this and this commander is doing that." And they look at him as like, "Oh, Fred has got us negotiating with Canada, and he's got us doing this." And she says, "Enough of that now. We're going to get Nicole back. There's another way." She says, "Gilead is not the only way. There's an American that can help us." So she gives him the phone. Remember that she had got earlier from the American man. And she's like, we're going to do it that way, and everything. So then we see that June comes home from the market, and their kitchen is full of baskets of muffins. Now remember, scones meant no. And so June is like, "What is this?" And Beth is like, "Muffins mean yes." The Marthas are on board with getting the children out. So their kitchen is full of muffins with all the different Marthas that are going to help. And June is like, "We're going to need a bigger boat." So that's the end of that. It was a good episode. It was a very good episode. I enjoyed it more than any of the other episodes that they, like the last two, that they had been having going. But yeah, so that was the Handmaid's Tale. I don't know what's wrong with Fred. Like, June don't want you. What are you doing? And he's doing all this like as payback, get back to June. And then the thought of her actually being with Lawrence, kind of, he almost acted like he was like, "Oh, I didn't think it was gonna go this far," but it did. And it is what it is. And now Serena Joy is like, "We're gonna get the baby back." I still think Serena's gonna get that baby and go to Hawaii herself. She's not gonna take Fred because she doesn't want Fred. That's the whole point. Like, I think at first she was falling back in love with him again, but now she realizes he's not doing this for you. He's doing this for Fred. And so, it is what it is. All right, guys. I will talk to you later. Enjoy the rest of your day.